Hi Virgo, and welcome to your January 2024 horoscope. I hope you enjoyed December. I hope you had a really nice new year, and I hope you're excited for what January has to bring. In January, we have Pluto entering Aquarius, which is actually quite a big event. And we also have Saturn sextile Jupiter for actually the whole month, which is quite special. Saturn is in a water sign while Jupiter is in an earth sign. And because of this, I think that January is going to be a very practical and grounded month where we're quite focused on our physical needs, so our bodily needs, and as well our emotional needs. But let's get more into what you can expect on a day-to-day. On January 1st, we have Venus in your 4th house squaring Saturn in your 7th house. You really value your family, your home, maybe even your literal home where you live. But at the same time, you're having a lot of responsibilities and you need to be a grown-up adult with your relationships. And at the beginning of January, these two may feel at odds with each other. They might each be asking your time and attention from you. On January 4th, Mars enters Capricorn and it enters your 5th house. With Mars entering your 5th house, you are going to bring your fighter spirit when it comes to the things that you do for fun. So that means you are really making sure that you're spending time doing fun things. You're not as much worried about working. You're really taking fun as a responsibility that you absolutely have to do, which is also really fun to see. And this 5th house is going to continue being highlighted because you have a new moon in your 5th house. On January 11th, there's a new moon in Capricorn. The sun and the moon are also actually fairly close to Pluto. They're about 9 degrees away, but as the month goes by, the sun will continue to get closer and closer to Pluto. But because of this, I do think that Pluto does have an influence on this new moon. There's also another really interesting aspect during this new moon, which is the aspect between Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. Mars is in your 5th house, Saturn in your 7th, and Jupiter in your 9th. So the 5th, 7th, and 9th house during this new moon, the way this could manifest is that perhaps you are really expanding your belief system with your partner. Together, you are trying out new hobbies. Together, you're signing up for a new course. Perhaps together, you are traveling. And it's really allowing you to find a sort of power and meaning and purpose with just enjoying day-to-day life. So, I mean, Virgo, honestly, this sounds like the best of the zodiac signs for January so far. On January 14th, Venus in your 4th house is sextiling the South Node in your 2nd house. The South Node has been in your 2nd house since November 2023, asking you to be your own individual, establish your own self-confidence, relying on your own rules and not on the rules that others make up for you. And because you've been spending a considerable time at home or with your family, you might actually be finding it easier to get in touch with what you believe and who you are, and making it easier for you to stand up to how others think you should show up in the world. Venus continues to travel through your 4th house, and on the 19th of January, it squares Neptune in your 7th house. Be very careful on this day that you're not being disillusioned in some way with your partnerships. If something seems too good to be true, just take it with a grain of salt and wait it out a bit before you make any big decisions or actions. Finally, we reached the big event of the month. On January 20th, Pluto and the Sun meet together at the final degrees of Capricorn. Just a couple of hours later, the Sun enters Aquarius, and a day later, Pluto also enters Aquarius. So there's a lot to consider with these 2 days, so let's just take it one by one, starting with the Sun. The sun is entering Aquarius and is entering your 6th house. So for the next month, from January 20th until February 19th or 20th, you are focused on your work. You are focused on this big question of what can you contribute to the world? What can you bring to the world that is of value and of service to others? Because Pluto is entering this house pretty much at the same time, you are entering a 20-year period where you are learning how you can find your power through service, finding your meaning and your purpose for this life by being of value to others. It's actually a really beautiful 20-year period for you, Virgo. I think one of my favorites from the zodiac signs. Pluto in the 6th house, you're really figuring out how to serve, you're figuring out how to contribute to the lives of others, how to take care of your health, and really to come to the realization that lifelong changes are made through daily habits. Notice if anything came up during March to June of 2023. Pluto was in Aquarius during those couple of months, so it was a sort of foreshadowing of what you can expect for the next 20 years. On January 23rd, we have Venus entering Capricorn, your 5th house. We talked already with Mars being in your 5th house, that you're very focused, determined, you have a lot of willpower to do fun things. And now with Venus entering your 5th house, it might soften that energy a little bit. So instead of all of the very assertive energy that you're really sort of pushing to have fun and to make sure these activities happen, Venus softens it, mellows it out a little bit, and just makes sure that you're also having fun while doing these things, that you're also enjoying them. On the 25th of January, there's a full moon in Aquarius in your 6th house. The Sun and Pluto are about 4 degrees apart from each other, so this is definitely still a very Plutonian full moon. The moon is in your 12th house. Don't forget that the sextile between Jupiter and Saturn is also still happening. And Jupiter and Saturn are highlighting your 7th and 9th house. You might have some big realizations around your mental health, around the thoughts that are going on in your head and whether they're really serving you towards this larger purpose and service that you can give to the rest of the world. During this full moon, it might become crystal clear of what you have to let go of in terms of beliefs in order to accomplish your mission. And the help for this realization might come from your partner, or maybe from a new book that you're reading, or perhaps a travel that you're making. Perhaps you go to a new place, you meet some new people, and these two places could really help you with coming to that realization. January 28th is also quite an interesting day because we have quite a few aspects. Firstly, Mars is squaring the nodes. Second, Uranus is going direct. And third, we have the aspect that we had earlier in the month between Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter, but this time we have it with Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter. Because the aspect with Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter happened on January 11th, take a look at what sort of things were happening on that day to give you a sort of foreshadowing as to what you can expect on this day. Because it's with Venus and not with Mars, it might feel a little bit easier and not as heavy. Mars in square to the nodes is asking you to do the scary things, do the uncomfortable things, because they are helping you become a better person and accomplish who you're meant to be. And specifically for you, you're being asked to be courageous with your vulnerability. Be courageous with opening up to another person and sharing what you're really feeling and thinking about. There's a lot of courage needed to stop pretending that you're independent, that you're self-sufficient, and to show yourself as somebody that's vulnerable, that needs support. We close off the month on January 30th with Mars trining Uranus. Mars is in your 5th house, Uranus in your 9th house. With Uranus in your 9th house, you've really been establishing your own way of learning, your own way of expanding your mind, traveling, and also really forming your own belief systems or lifestyle that are quite unique from what others around you are doing. With the trine with Mars, there might be some new information that you need to integrate from all of the fun activities you've been doing in January to help you even further in shaping this super unique lifestyle and way of living that you want to have. Virgo, it is time to serve. It is time to put in the day-to-day work in order to contribute to a mission, to contribute to improving the lives of others. And don't forget, you can still do that while having fun, while enjoying the work, and while hanging out with your partner and doing fun things together. Overall, I think January can be a really powerful month for you. Don't forget that sometimes difficult things are needed in order for growth. I hope you enjoyed January. I hope this forecast helps bring some clarity for you. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch the February forecast as well. I hope to see you again soon.